Hi community of awesome, I'm Ava J and this is Bookish Pixie. So not too long ago I did a series on world building, which I'll link to below, and someone asked about fantasy maps, which is a fair question because fantasy maps can be really helpful when you're building a world. So today I'm talking about how to make your own fantasy map, starting with step 1, world building. Before you start creating a map, you generally need to have a somewhat decent idea of what your world looks like physically. The most important part of this is knowing what the land distribution is like. Is it a Pangea, archipelago, a bunch of continents? Whatever the answer is, you just need to have a general idea of what it looks like before you start drawing. Once you have that in your head, then we can move on to the next step.
Okay, so step 2 is basically doodling. When I start creating a world map, I basically just draw really erratically because land does not form in like super nice curvy lines. So I just kind of doodle and see what happens and sort of just go with whatever I have, which we'll see what that is. So now we've got this big landmass. Now I've got some space here, so maybe I'll throw some islands in there. So now that we've got this blank mass, it's time to add some land formations in. I like to start with mountains because mountains are fun to draw. Let's put some up here because why not? As you can see, you don't really need to be very artistically inclined to do this. As long as you can draw basic shapes, you're good. Maybe this mountain range extends south. Why not? Maybe we also want some forest, so let's add a forest somewhere. I don't know why my forest is blue, I just didn't have a dark green color, so. Now let's put some desert somewhere. I don't really have much going on up here, so I think I'm gonna add more mountains. Now let's add some rivers. Now it's time to do borders. Now the thing to remember with borders is they're often built around the landscape. So oftentimes a border will follow a river or a mountain range because it was just easier to say my country is on this side of the river and yours is on that side. So I like to follow those rules, but you don't necessarily have to. So maybe we've got a border here. And maybe we've got another border here. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 probably countries or nations. So a thing to remember is that big cities that often become capitals are usually built by large bodies of water, whether that's the ocean or lakes, which I didn't put in here for whatever reason, or rivers, or near good defensive positions. So like near the mountain ranges because it made it easy to defend from outsiders that way. So let's put one capital over here. Now let's fill in smaller cities. Basically, I just kind of dot cities wherever my heart desires. So maybe you got one here, here. Cool, so now you have a basic map.
So that about covers how I make my maps. They're really useful even if they end up not in a book because it can be helpful just for you in terms of visualizing how your characters get from one place to another or how far countries are from each other and stuff like that. I find maps useful and I hope you do too. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to subscribe and comment, and I'll see you guys next week.